And I'm thinking you should be getting audio now. Okay? So let me know if you're getting audio now. So everything should be good now. Okay, so anyway, now that we're back on track, audio is on. I forgot to click the mic. See, this is what happens when you try to do it live. You forget to do something. I forgot to click on the microphone. So everybody is now saying... yes, now we have sound. Finally, we have sound. Okay, so, sorry about that, guys. Like I said, this is what happens when you do it live. A lot of shit happens. This is why a lot of people don't do stuff live. Anyway, thank you guys for pointing that out to me. And now we're good to go. So what I'm going to do here today is this. I've picked out 6 questions from the email that you guys have sent to me. How do you get an email to me? It's simple. Simply email me anytime at thejohncampeapodcast@gmail.com. That's thejohncampeapodcast@gmail.com. Email me in questions there. I pick the questions out from there. So I've got 6 questions I got picked out. You can see what the questions are in the description of this video. And then I'm going to save a few minutes at the end and go to the chat board and take some of the questions from you guys in the chat board. So with all that out of the way, let's get to it with the first question today. And the first question today, including sound, comes to us from Matthew Firt, who writes, "Hey John, can you tell us, is it strange that Nightwing and Gotham City Sirens, who have directors attached, are surprisingly missing from the San Diego Comic-Con DC movie slate?" Yeah, so this one caught a lot of people by surprise. So at Comic-Con, when Warner Brothers and DC was doing their panel, they put up this big slate of all these movies they have coming. And a couple of them we didn't even really know about, like Flashpoint and a few other things. But there were a few things that were very conspicuous by their absence. I don't believe a Black Adam movie was listed up there, and they've been saying for a while that they're going to do a Black Adam movie, and that's not there. They've had Dwayne Johnson cast in the role for 3 or 4 years, and we still don't have him on screen. So there's that. But, a lot of people were expecting to see Nightwing on there, and a lot of people were especially expecting to see Gotham City Sirens up there. Because, look, here's the thing. They announced Gotham City Sirens months ago. They said David Ayer was directing. They had the director. They started announcing casting. Margot Robbie signed up. They got all this progress done on Gotham City Sirens, and then when they do their presentation, Gotham City Sirens isn't there. Isn't listed as part of the presentations. To compound the intrigue, at that same San Diego Comic-Con, David Ayer was doing a panel about a Netflix project he was working on, and he made a really weird comment. He said, yeah, doing this on Netflix is great, so much creative freedom. It's not like doing some bullshit PG-13 movie that the studio forces on me. And it's like, David, you've only ever done one PG-13 movie, and that was Suicide Squad that you did with Warner Brothers and DC, and you're supposed to be doing another movie with Warner Brothers and DC. Why are you talking shit about the company that you're working with? And then some rumors started floating around that David Ayer was no longer working on Gotham City Sirens because he said that and because the movie was missing from the list. Now, the other day, 1 or 2 days ago, David Ayer got on Twitter and just tweeted out a picture of Harley Quinn. So a lot of people are interpreting that as David Ayer saying, no, I'm still on Gotham City Sirens. Although he hasn't actually said anything, but I think tweeting out a picture of Harley Quinn sends a pretty strong message that he's probably still attached. But yeah, it was very confusing. Why do you have this movie that you've been announced, you've been working on, you've been developing, you have a director, you have at least a part of your cast, you say you have a script for, and then when you put up your release slate, you don't include it. And then why is the director getting up on another panel at Comic-Con and talking shit? Look, I'm not for censoring people, but look, if you're going to be professional, David, if you are still working with Warner Brothers, that's not cool. I would hate the people I'm ongoing working with, to be getting up in public panels and then talking shit. I mean, that doesn't seem like the smart thing to do. But honestly, yes. The question was it strange that they had nothing there about that? Absolutely. That was strange. It was a lot less strange that there wasn't a Nightwing thing, because we haven't heard a lot of progress on that, or even if they're still moving ahead with that. I'm going to be doing a video this week on my top 5 picks on who should play Nightwing, if they actually go ahead and do it. So that'll be coming up. So, but yeah, like, look, David Ayer, a lot of things didn't go right with Suicide Squad. I get that. But generally speaking, I like what he did with it. And I thought, even though the film was a bit of a mess, I thought the fun of the movie outweighed the mess part of the movie, and I kind of like what he did. And I especially like the Harley Quinn character that he created with Margot Robbie. I really like that character that they put together. So I hope they still do it, but honestly, at this point, I just have no idea. So anyway, I'm going to move on to the next thing. Oh, thank you. Pensive Ruin says, Campea, love the show. Thank you so much, Pensive Ruin. Anyway, all right, let's move on to the next question. Well, what are your thoughts? Do you think it was strange that they didn't do that? Do you think David Ayer is still attached to Gotham City Siren? I think the fact that he tweeted that picture out sends a pretty good message, but he didn't say it explicitly, so I don't know, maybe you think something else. Jump down to the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Okay, next question up. And the next question comes to us from Greg Howell, who writes, John, as a child of the 1980s, and with many properties such as Transformers and G.I. Joe, just to name 2, getting movie adaptations, what are the chances we see a Masters of the Universe movie? I read a few years ago that the Kick-Ass 2 director was working on a script, but have not heard any news lately. We need a better adaptation than that 1980s movie was horrendous. You know, I'm not going to apologize. I have some fond memories of that 1980s thing. Was it a total joke? The one with Dolph Lundgren? Yes, absolutely, it was a total joke. But for whatever reason, I remember being like younger and being really excited that they were doing that movie. Like, because it was the first time I had seen one of the cartoon properties that I grew up loving actually being brought to the big screen in a live action sort of environment. And they did, and I had a massive crush on Courtney Cox. But who am I kidding? I still have a massive crush on Courtney Cox. Anyway, so yeah, I have some fond memories of it. But yes, it's a terrible movie, but I have some many fond memories of it. So they have been trying for years to get another Masters of the Universe project off the ground. As a matter of fact, back in 2012, as director John M. Chu was getting his G.I. Joe movie ready with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, they announced that John M. Chu was brought on by Columbia, I believe, to be the director of an upcoming G.I. Joe movie. So that's what they decided to do. And I didn't know how I felt about that, because G.I. Joe Retaliation did not turn out so good. It was definitely better than the first G.I. Joe movie. But overall, I didn't love the movie. And the only other things he had really done of note was a couple of musical documentaries on Justin Bieber. So anyway, there you go. But I met John M. Chu a couple of times, and he seemed really cool, and he seemed very excited about a Masters of the Universe project. So, okay. But then it went silent, and then it was announced he was no longer on the project, and then a couple of new writers were announced. And then, do you guys remember this? I can't remember, this is like a year or two ago, but this piece of test art, concept art, got released of Battle Cat. Like, ignore the He-Man picture there, but this concept art of what Battle Cat would look like got released. And everybody started buzzing again, and everybody started getting excited about, oh my God, it's really happening. We're going to get a Masters of the Universe picture. Yeah. And then again, nothing, and dead silence. And look, I'm going to admit, Masters of the Universe, it's not an easy thing to adapt. I mean, really think about it. Like, a lot of people just think, oh, just make a movie on that. Simple. No, it's not simple. Oh, just do it the way the cartoon did it. No, that would be stupid, and that would bomb. You have to adapt it. And, you know, Christian often said, you know, Christian and I would talk a lot about He-Man because he has some attachments to the property. And I love the way he described the way a true Masters of the Universe movie should be done. It should be Star Wars crossed with Lord of the Rings. And that's a movie to do. But that's not an easy movie to do. That's not even an easy movie to write. And then you have Transformers out there, the franchise, just ruining the name of 80s cartoons with their terrible movies that they keep putting out. So it's been challenging. And honestly, I have not heard anything about a potential new Masters of the Universe movie in a while. It's been a long time since I've heard any new developments. I'm sure we're probably still going to get one because it is a recognizable IP. Studios are addicted to recognizable IP, so I'm sure it's going to happen. I want to see it. I want to see a badass man-at-arms. I want to see Man-E-Faces. I want to see Beast-Man. I want to see Skeletor. I want to see all these dudes. But like I said, at this point, I just have not heard anything substantial. A lot of rumors here and there, but I haven't heard anything substantial in a while. If you guys have heard anything substantial in a while, go ahead, jump into the comments section, and let me know what you guys think. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to me from James Deziel, who writes, I am a massive fan of Donald Glover for his acting, writing, music, and all of the above. As you can guess, I'm very excited to see him take on Lando. He was my pick since the film was announced. If he crushes the role and fans love him, could Lucasfilm consider a Lando standalone film? Well, look, I love Childish Gambino as much as anybody. I think he's terrific. I think he's going to be great as Lando. However, let me say a couple of things. Number one, if he crushes it and if the fans love it, could we get a standalone movie? Well, theoretically, in any movie, if some actor playing some role crushes it and the fans love it, then it's possible that a studio may look at that and want to give it a spin-off movie. Any movie where an actor crushes a role that fans love, then it's possible that that could be made into its own spin-off standalone movie, whether it's Star Wars or whether it's anything else. So is it possible that if Donald Glover crushes the role of Lando and the fans love him as Lando, that it's possible Lucasfilm would sit back and maybe look at doing a standalone film? It's possible. I hope not. For a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm fucking sick and tired of Star Wars doing nothing but characters we already know. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm excited for the Han Solo movie. I'll go out and see a Yoda movie. I'll go out and see anything with the label Star Wars on it. I'll go see it, okay? Like, just admit that. I will. But Star Wars is such a huge frickin' universe with thousands of planets and star systems across the galaxy. And huge periods of time from Old Republic to today. There are so many stories you could tell. Why does everything have to come back to, now let's do a prequel of this character. Now let's do a prequel of that character. Now let's do another prequel. Prequel. Let's do everything prequel and do young this, young that guy, young this guy, young bartender from the first Star Wars movie. Sure, why not? Young Tarkin, yeah. Move on. Like, we've got the Star Wars saga, the episode 7, 8, and 9. Let's keep our recognizable characters there. If you're going to do these anthology movies, let's try something new. And I love the Lando character. Billy D, man. I love the Lando character. But it's time to move on. We're doing Han Solo. I mean, that's okay, that's fine. That's great. Let's move on. The universe is huge. But the second reason why I don't want them to do it is this. Is if they did it, that would mean they're making a movie and making a story just to suit an actor. In this case, a great performer in Donald Glover. But nonetheless, I have always said this. You do not tailor your story to fit an actor, no matter who the actor is and no matter what role they're playing. When you do that, you head for disaster. Hence the Hercules movie. That movie with The Rock only got made because The Rock was playing it. And when you build an entire movie around one actor playing a character, instead of making the foundation of your movie the story, then you're heading for disaster. And I just think, look, if they already had planned before they cast Donald Glover and all that kind of stuff, and they believe that they have this big story arc where Lando Calrissian is a central figure to it, and they want to do that, and the story came first, and then they added on the stuff, then I'm fine with that. That's cool. But I just never like it when studios go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, fans like that. Oh, okay, quick, write up a movie for that. That's doing everything backwards. And I don't like that. So I'm super excited to see Donald Glover playing Lando. I think he's going to absolutely crush it. I really liked, it wasn't a big role, man, but I love the way he played his character in Spider-Man Homecoming, Atlanta. I mean, everything. I love what he played in The Martian. The way he played Is that the name of that's the name of the Matt Damon one, The Martian, right? Anyway, I might be getting that wrong. But anyway, I think he's terrific, and I think he's going to crush Lando. But don't then, oh, let's see how the fans like it. If the fans like it, then let's do some pandering. Don't do that. Anyway, but like I said, I think he was, when they announced him, I thought it was a terrific idea. I thought it was great casting. I think he's going to bring that suave smoothness to the role. I think he's going to crush it as Lando Calrissian. But again, don't do it just for that. Please don't do it just for that. Anyway, thanks a lot for the question. I'm sure you guys have a lot of different opinions. You guys are already spouting off your opinions in the chat board. Jump down into the comment section. Leave your thoughts about what do you think about that. Do you want to see a spin-off Lando movie based on Donald Glover? Maybe you do. That would be great. All right, next question. And we're going to go a little anime here. The next question comes to us from Mr. Yazman300, who writes, with the poor performance of Ghost in the Shell and the divisive response of Death Note at San Diego Comic-Con, will we ever see a live action of Akira, or is the project dead? Yeah, Akira is a project that they've been trying for a while to get off the ground. They've been trying to do an Akira for a while. And I think I mentioned this in another episode of the podcast a few weeks ago. Ghost in the Shell did not do Akira any favors. Did not do Akira any favors. And I remember they were talking about kind of half making it an Asian influence, half making it an English one, and all that kind of stuff. Now, before everybody gets all upset and saying, no, if you do Akira, you have to do it exactly like the animated movie. You know who disagrees with you on that? The creator of Akira. The creator of Akira disagrees with you at that. And I know some of you in the chat board don't like that I said that, but Katsuhiro, how do you say Katsuhiro's last name? Otomo, I think his last name. And Katsuhiro Otomo, who's the creator of Akira, directed the animated film. He said himself that, look, if you're going to do a live action adaptation, the way we did the animated film won't work in a live action adaptation. You have to adapt it. I mean, keep the core of the story, but you have to adapt it and change it up to make it something else. So anybody who gets upset, if you talk to anybody who gets mad saying you got to do it exactly like the cartoon, and say, well, the creator of Akira doesn't think so. He thinks you got to change it up a bit if you're going to do it live action. So I know the studios have been looking at a way to try to do it live action, to try to get together. And I guarantee you, had Ghost in the Shell been a hit with the critics and the box office and all that kind of stuff, if that movie had been a hit, and I didn't think it was a terrible movie, but if it had been a hit, we would already have heard an Akira release date. We already would have heard all the announcements about Akira. I do think what happened with Ghost in the Shell has hurt Akira. I really do. Because now the studios are like, well, wait a minute, do we want to put $180 million into a movie when another movie in its genre and in its vein with a big name, talented star in the lead only did so well? Look, a lot of people always believe that something that they and their friends love means it's going to be an automatic big hit. I remember I had this big debate with John Schnepp once. And we were talking about Power Rangers. And this is going back a couple years ago before the new movie came out. And usually in our debates, Schnepp ends up being right. This is one occasion where I ended up being right. But we were having this debate, and he was saying, no, man, when they do that Power Rangers movie, it's going to crush, it's going to crush. This is long before any trailers came out or anything like that. I'm like, dude, I just don't think so. That ship has come and gone. He goes, dude, you don't understand. When I'm at comic conventions and there's a Power Rangers thing, the lineup goes all around the convention. I'm like, that's great. But that's a very small demographic of people. That's great that they line up and go all around the thing. Guess what? You do a Firefly panel somewhere, the lineup from that is going to go around your entire town. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a big hit if you put it back on TV. I mean, that's unfortunate because Firefly was awesome and Serenity, the movie, was awesome, but it just doesn't have a big enough fan base. It's got a vocal fan base and a passionate fan base. I am one of them, but it's not a big fan base. And that's great that you can go today to a Power Rangers convention and the Power Rangers has a passionate fan base, absolutely, but it's not a big fan base. And what happens is, and I see this happen all the time, you get a group of people who's like, I love this one thing, and all of the people I know love that one thing. That means everybody loves this one thing. And I'm sorry, but no, that's not true. I have this debate a lot when it comes to Batman Beyond with a lot of people. Because, you know, I constantly get, I don't think a week goes by where I don't get at least one question from somebody about Batman Beyond. You think they should do, you know, a Batman Beyond movie? And I keep saying no, because the general audience they do not know Batman Beyond, and they do not care about Batman Beyond. And then they would say to me, "You're crazy, John. Everybody loves Batman Beyond." No, they don't. You love Batman Beyond, I have no doubt. And all your circle of friends loves Batman Beyond, I have no doubt. But you do not represent the biggest demographic. You are a small, confined thing. I count myself in that for a lot of different properties as well. Like, I want a Space Battleship Yamato. I want a Star Blazers movie. Because me and my friends love Star Blazers, but I'll be the first to admit, not a lot of people know Star Blazers or Space Battleship Yamato. Not a lot of people want to see that, even though me and my friends do. I have to think outside of my circles. But anyway, so studios are in a position where they have to think outside of pockets of fandom for different properties, and that includes Akira. And now they've got a big tangible piece of evidence in front of them with Ghost in the Shell, and they're like, whoa, they lost a lot of money making that movie. Do we want to do the same? And that made them cautious. Look, I want to see them do it. I want to see an Akira movie. I want to see what a live-action Akira would look like. But they're going to be very, very cautious about that moving forward. Anyway, I would love to know what your guys' thoughts are. Jump into the comment section and leave me your thoughts. All right, let's move on to the next question. Holy crap, it's a Saturday. I was expecting like 250 viewers. There's like 1,000 of you guys watch, over 1,000 of you watching live right now. That's awesome. Anyway, okay, let's move on to the next question. And the next question comes to us from Seth Perkins. And Seth Perkins writes, over or under 20% chance that the Thor and Guardian scene at the beginning of the Infinity War trailer, which I've only read about due to an extreme lack of self-control, gets used as the post-credit scene for Ragnarok. All right, so this is one of a form of many. I've gotten a lot of questions about this one topic, okay? And I just picked this one. And it's talking about, now they've put this out publicly. So Marvel put this out at D23. They also put it out at Comic-Con. And you've heard it, then a bootleg copy got out online. It's been out all over the place. And then you've seen reviews of the Infinity War trailer, and you've read descriptions of the Infinity War trailer. It's out there. It's public information. If the studio allows it to be public information, then it cannot be considered a spoiler. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what was in that Avengers Infinity War trailer. And if you don't want to hear about it, stop this video right now. But, Marvel put it out public, so I do not consider this a spoiler. But what a lot of people are asking is, the way that Infinity War teaser trailer starts is with the Guardians of the Galaxy flying around through space, and all of a sudden Thor, who's just floating in space, hits their windshield. So what a bunch of people have been asking me and are concerned about is, did this just frickin' spoil the end of Thor Ragnarok? Not that Thor is alive, because everybody knew Thor was going to be alive at the end of Thor Ragnarok. But everybody's asking, he's floating around in space. So, does Thor Ragnarok end with the planet he's on getting blown up, or does it end with his spaceship getting blown up? Did the beginning of the Infinity War trailer just basically give away what kind of the end of Thor Ragnarok is going to be? And what we're being asked here right now is it possible that's not actually part of Infinity War? Is it a possibility that's the trailer, or the post-credit scene for Thor Ragnarok? So you asked me, over or under 20% that shot is a post-credit scene from Ragnarok. I'm going to go way under 20%. I don't think that is the post-credit scene for Ragnarok at all. I don't think they would have concluded that as the teaser for Infinity War had that been the case. So I'm going to go under 20%. I'm not going to say 0, but I'll say under 20%. But the bigger question is, did Marvel just give away kind of what the ending of Thor Ragnarok is going to be? And I'm going to say no, I don't think so. Because here's what our minds naturally do. The very first thing we see in the Infinity War trailer is the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor hitting their windshield. So what our minds naturally do is, well, that's the first thing in the trailer. This is one of the first things that happens in Infinity War. But Thor hitting that windshield, that could happen in the third act of Infinity War. Thor could be around already for an hour in Infinity War, and then this happens and that happens in Infinity War, and that happens in Infinity War, and that happens in Infinity War, and that leads to Thor floating in space. So just because it happens at the beginning of the Infinity War trailer, that does not mean it happens at the beginning of Infinity War. So I have a feeling, and I don't know this, I'm just guessing, I'm just speculating here, okay? Just speculating. But I have a feeling that that shot of Thor hitting the windshield of the Guardians of the Galaxy is not the first appearance of Thor in Infinity War. I think Thor's already going to be around in the movie, and that something else happens in Infinity War that has him ending up in outer space, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy find him. I don't think it's as a result of the end of Ragnarok. So the big question of, does the Infinity War trailer spoil the ending of Ragnarok? I don't think it does. I don't think it does, because I think there's a little bit of misdirection being given to us by Marvel there, and I think it's really smart on their part, and it would be incredibly stupid. Come on. It would be incredibly stupid of Marvel to actually show us basically what happens at the ending of their upcoming movie just to put in a trailer for something else they have coming out much later. So I don't think so, but maybe you guys have some really good arguments that that is the ending of Thor Ragnarok, and that will be maybe even a post-credit scene or whatever. Let me know your thoughts. I can be convinced one way or the other. Absolutely, I can. Jump down to the comments section and let me know your thoughts. The one thing I know for sure, though, absolutely, I have loved the trailers for Thor Ragnarok. I think this movie looks better than I anticipated, and I am a huge fan. Huge fan. I know not a lot of people are, but of the first Thor movie. To me, the first Thor movie might be in my top 10 comic book movies of all time. I know a lot of people don't like it nearly as much as me. That's fine. I'm totally comfortable with that. But I saw that movie in theater like 7 times. I adore the first Thor movie. The second Thor movie took a big step down in quality. I'm not going to argue that. But I love the first one. And this, so I've had high hopes for Ragnarok, but I think the trailers have blown my expectations and my hopes out of the water. All right, let's move on to the last email question of the day. And then I'm going to go on to go into the chat board and seeing what you guys are wanting to talk about. So let's go here. We go on to, what do we got going on here? This one comes to us from Xavier Martinez, who writes, "Hey John, big fan and always watch your videos when I can. My question is, now that you're doing your own thing, are you going to do any MMA coverage? You and Dennis always talked about bringing it to Collider, but obviously you aren't there anymore. Also, you've been vocal about McGregor versus Mayweather. Are you still going to watch it? Thanks for taking my question and keep up the awesome content." Thank you so much for the question, Xavier. I am a massive MMA fan. I have been an MMA fan as long as I can remember, ever since like UFC 2. I don't think I watched UFC 1, but then I heard about it and watched UFC 2 when Hoist Gracie kind of took the world by storm and all that kind of stuff. And when I moved to LA like 9 or 10 years ago, the very first thing I did, literally like the day after I got here, I went over to former UFC champion Randy Couture's gym, and I joined up with Randy Couture's gym. It was called Legends MMA. And I trained there for years. I'm a huge fan of Randy. Look how much skinnier I look. Dear heavens. God, you think you're in pretty good shape right now, and I'm in pretty good shape right now. I'm not, there it is, yeah. I'm not in that kind of shape today. Look how much skinnier, and look how much more defined I am there. Oh, dear God. I gotta get back into the. I gotta get back into the gym more often than I do. Anyway, okay. So, and by the way, and Randy's great. Here's a great picture of Randy with Ann at his new gym that's in Las Vegas, actually. But anyway, so I have been a massive MMA fanatic, a huge MMA fan for the longest time, and I just adore it. So, and another guy who's a big fan of MMA is Dennis. So, Dennis really loves, we talk about all the fights and all that kind of stuff. And as a matter of fact, Dennis and I tonight are going to be going to, we're going to go out and watch the fights tonight. Dennis and I are. So we're going to go do that. We're going to go into Hollywood tonight and watch the big Daniel Cormier, John Bones Jones fight tonight. So anyway, will we do a brand new, or will I do some MMA coverage on my channel? I'm thinking I'm going to. Yeah, I think I'm going to do, I'm not going to start tonight, but I think I'm going to do post UFC videos. So like when UFC, a big UFC event happens, maybe not UFC on Fox, maybe not UFC like little cards, but like the big main UFCs. I'm thinking I might start doing post UFC things. And I don't know, maybe I'll talk to Dennis tonight about Dennis coming over and doing those with me, so I'm not doing them alone. But that would be a lot of fun. But I'm biased. Like I said, I've been attached to MMA for a lot of years, and I still practice, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Anyway, okay, guys, I've gone a little bit over time, so I'm now going to go over to the chat board and take questions from you guys. So if you guys have questions or topics or whatever, start firing them in to the chat board right now, and I'll start picking some of them out. By the way, I regret that I didn't do it, but I did not put up a review for Girls Trip, which opened last week. And because I saw it late, and I thought, oh, it's too late. The movie's already out and in theaters, and it's too late. But I've regretted it ever since. I've regretted it. So a little bit later today, I'm going to put up my review for Girls Trip. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's the funniest comedy in the last 3 years. It's the funniest comedy since 22 Jump Street. It floored me. It completely floored me and surprised me and shocked me with how funny it is. So I'm going to put that up a little bit later today. Make sure you guys check that out. All right. So first question I'm going to take from the chat board here is Ryan Keefe writing, "Hey, John, any news about the Chris Benoit movie?" Yeah, we heard that Lexi Alexander, who came into studio and was sitting with me and told us like she was going to be doing a biography movie. I think it was going to be called The Crippler or Crossface or something like that, on Chris Benoit, and which I think sounds fascinating. Now, then she left the country to go work on a couple of other projects she was working on. I have not heard anything else since. So I've not heard any updates on the Chris Benoit movie. I hope it still happens because I think that would be really fascinating. I think there's a lot of things in. It's tragic and it's sad, but I think at the same time it would be fascinating. Anthony Warren writes, "Hey, John, have you read any Star Wars books lately?" The last one I read was not Tarkin, Thrawn. Thrawn was the last one that I read. I wasn't thrilled with Thrawn. I think the thing about the Thrawn book was that everything in the book that had to do with Thrawn was great. Everything that had to do with its side story about this governor was boring. And overall, it made for a meh kind of experience. Like overall, I liked it, and I would recommend Star Wars fans read it, but I'm not super excited about it. But that was the last one. I tried reading the first Battlefront book. I couldn't get into it, so I haven't bothered trying to read the second one. So Thrawn was the last one that I read. Thanks a lot for the question. Let's see here. What's next? Let's see. Colin Partington writes, "Do you think the new Jay and Silent Bob movie will be a hit?" I'll be honest with you. I didn't know he was going to do another Jay and Silent Bob movie. Didn't know. If that's true, yeah, this is the first time hearing about it. I know for a long time Kevin Smith, and I'm a huge fan of Kevin Smith, that was going to do another Clerks movie. Clerks 2 is in my top 5 all-time favorite comedies. Clerks 2 is in my top 5 all-time favorite comedies. So I was really excited about the idea of him doing another Clerks movie. Then I heard about him maybe doing this, maybe doing that. This is the first I've heard about another Jay and Silent Bob movie. Will it bomb? Depends on how you define bomb. If he makes the movie for $3 million, then no, it's not going to bomb. If he makes the movie for $20 million, then yes, it'll bomb. So it all depends how that goes. Lucid TV says, "Hey, John, how do you feel about Miss Marvel not being in Infinity War?" Well, we don't know for 100% for sure. Like, people can say things and reports can come out and all that kind of stuff, but you don't know 100% for sure. But let's assume that Miss Marvel is not going to be in Infinity War. I don't care. If the story doesn't call for Miss Marvel to be in the Infinity War movie, then she shouldn't be in the Infinity War movie. If they've got a plan and she comes after, perfectly fine. I have no problems with that. That's totally cool with me. Let's see. Amin Mashakia. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, dude. John, will you ever compete again in the Schmodown? Yeah, the Schmodown is one of my things I'm most proud of. I remember when I left Collider like over a year and a half ago, I stuck around for a couple of extra weeks just to make sure I could get a deal signed for Mark and Christian at Collider. and to get funding secured for this new idea for this Schmodown show. And Christian and I talked a lot about it, and we worked very, very hard on it, and Christian was so passionate about it. And really, the last few weeks that I was there was just a huge concentrated effort to make sure we could get that Mark and Christian deal done so they could be secure at Collider and we could get the funding secured to do a Schmodown show. I'm very passionate about Schmodown. I love the Schmodown show. Whether I'll ever compete again, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I never really liked competing that much, except for in the Star Wars stuff. I love that. And maybe at some point I'll go over and take away Knapsack's Star Wars belt. It still irks me that at Star Wars Celebration, he beat me in triple overtime on some bullshit animated movie question about who did the voice of this. And I gave an answer that was a correct answer, but not correct for that movie. And I lost. And Ken won. But it's always stuck in my jaw that he beat me in triple overtime on some bullshit animated movie question. So someday maybe I'll go over and take that belt away from him. Or maybe someday the right partner will emerge and I'll go do some team stuff. I've had a lot of success over there with team stuff. But you will definitely at some point or another see me going back over there and calling matches. Maybe some of their bigger stuff. Christian and I have already talked about that. So yeah, you'll probably see me on Schmodown again at some point. As a competitor, I'm not really sure. Maybe, who knows? The problem is if I compete, then I need to commit to competing regularly. So if I go in there and win, then I got to keep going back, and I just don't know that I have the time to do that. But I can go in like once every 3 months and commentate with Christian or Ken or Mark or whoever and do that. So we'll see that. Albert Tonikian writes, a Kenobi movie? Okay, look, I just went on this big spiel about how I'm over the bullshit. Let's do another prequel movie. Let's do another prequel movie. Let's do another prequel movie with the Star Wars universe. I have been convinced. It took them some time, but I got talked into being open to an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie because there is a bunch of stuff you could do there. So I would still much rather an Old Republic movie or some movie that happens on some planet on another corner of the galaxy that has not connected to everybody else already. I would still prefer that. But if they announced that Ewan McGregor was coming back to do a new Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, I would not complain. I would not complain. So I'll just leave it at that. I would not complain. Let's see. Somebody's just asking me, any news on the new Star Blazers movie? Nope, nothing. I haven't heard anything on that in months. I'm hoping it's still moving forward. Amin is also writing again. Will I go back on Jedi Council? Yeah, probably at some point. You know, it's funny because I was out with Christian the other day, and he was asking me, when are you gonna come back to do this and this? And one of the things I said is like, dude, I right now I want to create some separation. And because I know a lot of people were asking me, hey, because at San Diego Comic-Con, there was a Collider meet and greet. And a lot of people were asking me to go to the Collider meet and greet and be a part of the Collider meet and greet. And one of the things that I told Chris is like, dude, look, it's me leaving is still fairly new. I think we need to create some separation here because I need to really be focused on what I'm doing. But even more importantly than that, like, I need the guys at Collider. Remember, Collider is something I created. Collider Video and that whole operation is what I created and what I built. And I have a lot of love for it, and I want to see it do well. And I think it's important at this point, for at least a little while, to create a little bit of separation so Collider Video can evolve its identity a little bit to an identity that doesn't include John Campea. And I think that's what's best for them right now, really. So I didn't think it was going to be good for Collider Video for me coming to the meet and greet. I mean, really, how does that... Because at the Collider meet and greet, the attention should be on, I think anyway, the attention should be on the existing Collider Video crew, the existing personalities at Collider Video. I think that's where the attention needed to be. It didn't need to be on me. And I think like I will go back on Schmodown to call a couple of matches. I'm sure at some point I will go on Jedi Council. Me and Schnepp have been talking, and I'm sure I will go and Beyond Heroes sometime. But I just feel, at least for a little while, there needs to be a period of time where, you know, I focus on my thing, but more importantly, that Collider redefines its personality. Because look, ever since its inception, I was the main person there, and now I'm not, and they need to have the focus be on the people who are. So yes, I will. I just need a little bit of time for all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Last question. Leonardo Semborian writes, did you like the first Fantastic Four movie? I think there were things to like in the first Fantastic Four movie. But I mean, look, no. And I think there's some very good things. There's some things they did right in the Fantastic Four movie. It reminds me, though, I've been doing a series of videos called 5 Things to Love About. And what I've been doing on my channel, my next one's going to be on Avatar: The Last Airbender. So what I've been doing is I've been taking terrible movies and saying, here are 5 good things about this terrible movie. And I did one on the latest Fantastic Four movie, and I can't remember what the other one was, but my next one's going to be on Avatar. And the whole point of it is, even in the worst movies, there are some redeeming qualities. Because even in the best movies, there are some negative things. And in the worst movies, there's some redeeming things. And the next 5 great things about video I'm going to do is about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and how terrible is that movie. Anyway, guys, that will do it for me. Thank you so much for joining me for this special Saturday edition of the John Campea podcast. Hey, guys, don't forget, do me a favor. If you like my videos and what I'm doing, click the thumbs up button. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. That helps me out a great deal. Share the videos around. Find a couple of my videos that you really like. Share them on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever you like to do your social media-izing. And also make sure you click subscribe. Become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. Make sure you follow me. You can see right here on Facebook and on Twitter. You can follow me at John Campea. Make sure you follow me there. That'll do it for me, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday. This has been a lot of fun. And until next time.